institution of higher learning, which will also collaborate with you together with the Strathmore University in Kenya and the other partners, and will be willing to dish out some money. Apprenticeship program. You will recall that our Prime Minister, Honorable 𝗨𝗏𝗨𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏, was there for the launching of the program, and also he graced the ceremony of the first cohort when they graduated here. And that shows how much the government values the program. The biggest challenge that we continuously face and must overcome in our country, in Africa, particularly Africa south of Sahara, is to improve the lives of our people to the level that existing technological capabilities and human potentials can afford. It is commonplace to talk about African unity as Pan-Asia. With the continental free trade area, a huge opportunity exists in front of us. Certainly, unity is important and perhaps a prerequisite for countries to leap forward away from poverty and technological backwardness. However, we cannot just pursue unity without addressing weaknesses within our individual countries. We want unity of weaklings. One of the biggest weaknesses of our countries is the low quality of human resources, the low level of human capital investment. To address these, we must invest in education and improve skills of our working force. We must also ensure that we have leaders, both in government and in the private sector, who can help us navigate through the world, globalization, rapid technological development, and the growing hazards of climate change. The government has embarked on a far-reaching education reform to improve the quality of education, both the academic, but at the same time, skills for our graduates. But for all this to work, we need business leadership, we need managerial capabilities, we need more programs such as the CEO apprenticeship. Now think about this, and let me digress a little bit. Now that David has reminded you that I'm a little bit of an academic in my other life. Think of our country, the structure of Tanzania. We're talking about transformation, leadership transformation, but we have to transform our economy, our country. Tanzania is almost a prototype of countries you see in sub-Saharan Africa, where 2/3 of our working force is employed in agriculture. Actually, in Tanzania, it's 52% in the agricultural sector. And this 2/3 contributes less than 1/3 of the GDP. Don't forget, what you contribute is what you eat. So if 2/3 of the population contributes less than 1/3 of the GDP, it means that 2/3 of the population consumes less than 1/3 of the GDP. Actually, when we talk about agriculture, broadly defined, we talk about forestry, fisheries, livestock, and crops. If you only focus on crops, you realize that crops contribute about 14% of the GDP. And most of the people who identify themselves as farmers, they rely mostly on crop production. What does that mean? 3 things. Obviously, it means productivity is very low. That you have so many people producing so few for the country. 2/3 producing of the total production in the country, less than 1/3. 2, widespread poverty, particularly in the rural area. Because since what you contribute is what you consume, the consumption is so low that it's no surprise that in the poverty reduction strategic paper in Tanzania of 2000 made the famous statement that poverty in Tanzania is everywhere a rural phenomenon. And 3, it means huge inequality in the country because 2/3 consumes less than 1/3 of the national income. Who consumes the rest? So that's the structure that we need to transform in the country. And there's no way we can overcome poverty in this country or in sub-Saharan Africa without addressing these structural challenge. And when you go to the urban area, you see two phenomena side by side. Growing middle class, driving shining cars, subscribing to the STV, with consumption that is highly externalized. I was joking to David that the suit he's putting on, I'm sure it's from London. Mine, I think, is from Mazesi, but so the growing middle class in the country mostly externalizes its consumption. Everything. The watch you put on, the tie, the glasses, or the mic. Externalized. So that's one side. The other side, you have the growing rank of unemployed youth in Yamadi areas trying to seek employment. They cannot find employment. This is also a security threat in our countries, as we learned from the Maghreb not a long time ago. So the kind of transformation we must undertake in our countries must involve that kind of structural transformation. We must have middle class growing, but also creating demand for locally produced goods. We must have the youth who graduate from schools producing goods for our own consumption, also for export. We must have an education system that produces scientists who will do research and find ways of improving productivity and yield in farming, because the problem in farming, we said, it's low yield, low productivity. You can measure that by looking at each crop individually, but suffice to give two examples. We have immense land for producing wheat, but we import wheat more than 1 million tons, I think, actually from Ukraine and other countries. And the only reason is because productivity is so low, local production cannot outcompete imported wheat. Take edible oil. We have enough land to produce enough sunflower, palm oil, and so on. And yet, we spend slightly more than $500 billion annually to import edible oil from abroad, precisely because productivity is very low when we produce. So, and therefore, among the reasons for education reforms in Tanzania is to try to address these challenges. Now we have embarked on far-reaching education reforms. We want to improve the quality, including of academic programs, and to ensure that our academic institutions conduct research that yield results, because the only reason we can actually increase yield is to have research output on how we can improve agronomical practices, how we can have better seeds, and so on and so forth. At the same time, we have introduced vocational secondary school in the country, and we hope it will grow. Hopefully, it will be the largest segment of the secondary education, such that when we have graduates from O-level high school, they will have enough skills for them to be employed to produce these suits, maybe microphone and glasses, and so on. But even there, we need entrepreneurs, we need business leaders. We have introduced entrepreneurship as a compulsory subject in O-level secondary school, so that when you finish O-level, you should be able to establish business, you know what you need to do with TRI, how to approach Kimario with his bank to gain loan. But that will not be enough. We need graduates who are good, who can also be exposed to best way of leading business. And that's why this program is very important. Because for you, you might be a medical doctor, I don't know your background, some of you will have done a BCom, business administration, might be a scientist, chemist, and so on. But at some point, you want to see how you can organize and run business as a CEO, senior officials. I think this program is very crucial. So the pieces that we're putting together in terms of education reforms will need a program like this. And therefore, I repeat to say congratulations, the CEO Roundtable, for introducing this CEO apprenticeship. And I promise you that the government will support you, not only in terms of the program you're doing. I understand that because you're not paying the fees, so we have no government officials here. But as I said, we have higher learning institutions in this country that distinguish themselves as offering leadership programs. And I think the leadership program should also learn from this program. And because of that, I invite you once again to team up with any of our institutions that you think can help take us forward, and we'll set aside some budget to make sure that we'll bring some of our staff to participate and later to team up and help to increase the numbers. We'll come here so that we'll have people starting business, right? We'll have youth gaining employment because they might have skills, but they need somebody to put up a business to employ them. And therefore, on the other side, for research, in terms of what we're going to do, we hope with the increased budgetary allocation to research, we'll be able to improve productivity in the rural area. And once we improve productivity, it means that labor force will be released from the rural area and it will need employment. And just add something more. In agriculture, all you need is to have crops at the lowest price possible, not at the highest price, at the lowest price possible, because you look at the structure of the wage, anybody who starts business here, what you pay your worker, about half of it for the low earning personnel will go to food. So if the price of rice goes up, it means the real wage go down. The motivation for working hard start to disappear. So you'll be pretending to pay them, they'll be pretending to work for you. So we need the prices of crops that we use in the country to be as low as possible, but the income of those who produce the crops to be as high as possible, and you can only do that by solving the problem of productivity in the agriculture sector. In closing, I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations once again to graduates and for the CEO apprenticeship program cohort number 4. You have embarked on a journey that is both challenging and rewarding. I was really happy to listen to your confidence communication. I think, was it Aisha who said, I was not made to speak in public? I'm just happy you're not from Rombo because I'm sure we'll have a big competition as a member of parliament. So let's work together. Thank you very much.